Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and today we're taking a look at BIOS. BIOS is a racing first-person shooter being developed by indie developer Pixel. It's actually made up of ex-Far Cry 2 developers. Two of the guys from the team that developed Far Cry 2 basically left and said, hey, let's make our own studio and let's make a racing FPS. This is their very first game. It just hit Steam Early Access. It'll run you about $15, and we're going to check it out because I love these types of sort of asynchronous competitive FPSs. The club was probably my favorite one in recent memory. Yeah, the PvP sucked, but that's not what you played it for. You played it for the single player, which had awesome leaderboards and was just really a fantastic experience. Bulletstorm kind of ties in with that, although albeit in a much different sense, and also a single player game, but I don't think there's enough FPSs like this, so I was actually really stoked when I saw that this game came out. I was like, where did this come from? It's like Christmas. So we're gonna take a look at it. Like I said, it's early development alpha, very bare bones, but we've got most of the options available to us apart from the field of view slider, which I imagine a lot of people are going to be kind of frustrated about. However, I still feel like they should put some sort of a cap on this. I know people are going to hate me for this, but I think it kind of lends itself to the design of the levels and things of that nature. Certain things we can't turn off, can't disable post-processing, you can't actually disable anything, you can just kind of put it to low, but it should run on just about anybody's PC anyways if you lower the settings enough. This is running in Unreal Engine 4. We can rebind everything, which is always important in an FPS. You'll notice that we're going to be switching our firing modes quite a bit. I also just found out before I started recording this video that I actually have a grenade launcher on my rifle. Had no idea. But let's go ahead and take a look at the map selection. So there's, what do we got, a total of 6 maps available to us right now, 7. So basically starting from a map that actually literally looks like it was in alpha state. There's like no textures on the wall, even though there is actually textures on the wall. Then moving into beta, Delphi, Gamma, Baltic, Kennedy, and Nixon. And you can see those are actually exterior environments. One's in a shipyard, sort of cargo container area. We've got like a city that just looks like things have gone to hell, and then sort of an underground parking garage. The game is challenging. Let me put it that way. It's extremely difficult, and the main reason for that is you're not just engaging, you know, regular targets on a wall. These are actually turrets and little drones and robots that fire back at you, and you have a health bar. So you have to kind of balance between getting a really quick time and staying alive. That's really what is at the core of BIOS, and I think that's what makes it so exciting and so exhilarating. So we're actually going to play the normal difficulty on alpha. It's the only one I've been able to complete, and then we'll take a look at some of these other maps just so I can show you guys what they're all about, but I know I will get absolutely destroyed. Enough talking, let's hop into this thing. Alright, so before we go ahead and run this, I'm just gonna, a little bit of a forewarning that we're probably gonna fail massively because this is gonna be really hard to commentate and sort of go through this thing, but basic controls, move about, and shoot stuff. If we scroll the mouse wheel, we'll switch between our firing modes, which is very important. I pretty much run single fire all the time. Our reloads, middle mouse button for grenades, crouching is absolutely useless, and sprinting is left shift. Let's do this thing! It's actually a very pretty game considering how simplistic it is, but when you get into more complex levels, it starts to look a little bit more shiny. So, the game heavily takes into fact whether or not you're moving momentum based on your recoil and then your accuracy, so that's really important. You'll notice that, as I said, not only are these turrets that are shooting back us with different lasers and things of that nature, there's also like traps all over the place, there's laser mines, there's random grenades that seem to be coming out of nowhere. And that guy has a missile turret. Oh, parts of the environment are also destructible, I should point that out. So, you might think you have a piece of cover until it gets hit with 2 rockets, and then it's kind of GG game over for you. But you can also use that to your advantage by blowing holes in walls to engage targets at range. I've done that a few times, it's actually very beneficial. There's currently a bug that allows you to fire while sprinting. It looks really odd. We're gonna try and not do that though. But it's there. If you see this video, developers, you can do this. I'm sure they know. Losing focus, not a very good thing. Alright. Let's jump this laser. We can take out the guy who's close, then we'll engage the guy who's far. Let's switch to full auto. Reload. We're gonna have a guy coming down this hallway. So the biggest part about a game like this is muscle memory, building that the memory of the level when you're engaged by certain targets, and what you should do in those situations. It's gonna suck. So you can see a little bit of the destruction there. I'm actually a huge fan of the way they do it. It all sort of turns back into, turns back into like wireframe models. It looks really cool. I think some of the debris came through the wall. Eliminate that one. Okay, I thought I eliminated that one. You gotta be very careful, because it also seems, at least in my experience, the closer you are to these targets, the more damage they put out. For the machine gun type variants. And that guy has grenades. I knew that. I knew it. I've died from that so many times. Alright, we're almost there. Let's do this one more time. Let's run it. Let's run it. Oh, we're still going. I could have hit L, and that's actually a quick restart. Just a heads up for those of you guys who might buy this. Quick restarts are always great in games like this. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I just feel like I'm always in a rush. See if we can't get a running shot on that. As long as you stay moving, those laser targets can generally be evaded, but you gotta be careful. There are often sacrifices you can make in the sake of time. You know, if you feel like you're running good on health and you know that you can maintain a high health bar throughout the rest of the level, sometimes I found like, you know, why not? I'll just cut through that laser fence rather than going back around, gain the extra time, and then see if I can't stick a clean run through the rest of it. But you have to be sure of yourself there, because as you can see, I sacrificed about 10 HP and now I'm down to 70, so things aren't going that well for me. And we lost a lot more HP there, a lot more than I thought we were going to. Let's see if we can evade taking damage from that guy. Avoid, evade. Evade the bullets and avoid the damage. Missile turrets are probably the worst if you really... You gotta try and get them down. Cool thing though is he took out that laser mine that was on the ground, so I was able to avoid that. Let's be wary. After this section we're gonna have that... the grenade that I spoke of. That was a huge fail, we're just gonna leave it. Took a lot of damage, I highly doubt we will make it to the end here. Let's use our grenade to kill his grenades, and then block our own passage here with a grenade, whoopsie. I think we got the finish line, there it is, we're gonna make it with 10 HP. We're definitely not gonna beat my previous time, at least I don't think so. Okay, that is my personal best, that's kinda sad. Okay. Alright, so I've got some pre-recorded video for you guys for the rest of the video. I've got some pre-recorded video for the rest of the video of two of the other locations. We've got sort of the shipping yard type location, and then we've got Gamma, which is another indoor location, but this time coated with a heavy layer of rain. I kinda want to give you guys my final thoughts, a bit more of my thoughts after spending a couple hours with the game. I mean, number one, BIOS is addicting. For me, these sort of asynchronous, competitive type FPSs where you're kind of racing the clock and racing your own skill are just very, very intriguing. I love them very much. I was a huge fan of the club, as I said earlier. So I'm instantly hooked. To me, this is well worth my $15. There's a lot of content here. You have a lot of different maps, a lot of different tracks, if you want to call them that. A lot of different races, I suppose. And you also have multiple difficulty levels, not to mention the time it's going to take you to master them all. So if you're into that sort of thing, the game is worth the $15 already in early access. It's pretty well polished. I've had very few crashes. The only crashes were actually due to me using capture devices, so if you're not really doing anything like that, I'm sure you will have no issue at all. It is running in Unreal Engine 4, as I said before, so you have that going for you. The Unreal Engine is just an epically well-managed engine, and the game already has ridiculously good performance. I was playing on Ultra, and you guys are seeing the video in 60 FPS, so that's pretty damn awesome. Now, if I had to talk about some of the gameplay elements that I would like to see maybe altered or changed, a lot of it's small stuff. Like, I love Gamma, I love the idea of the rain on the level, but I feel that the level becomes very dark because of the brightness of the rain in certain locations. Again, that's just kind of an environmental art tweak that is necessary, but it definitely made it a little bit more of a frustrating track than probably should have been. The other thing is the second track you guys are going to see coming up here, the shipyard. I think this is where it really starts to show that some of these turrets and these targets are a little bit too difficult to identify. Like, I would like to see them have some sort of an alternate art style or, you know, texture on them that makes them stand out a little bit more. I don't feel that it's necessary to have identifying the targets just from a visual standpoint be part of the gameplay curve. You know, make it purely based on player skill and actual, you know, the precision shooting part of the game. You can remove that. I feel like that's an unnecessary hurdle. And it was exceptionally difficult at times to pick out these targets. That being said, you will gain memory over time of the target locations, but when I'm shooting at a target purely based on where its fire is coming from, I feel like a little bit of a modification is needed there, and I wouldn't mind these things standing out a little bit more, especially in these real-world environments like Kennedy and Nixon, and this one I believe, which is Baltic. So yeah, that's just me with a small opinion there, but the more I played the map, the more I started to pick up where the target locations were, and I'm also hoping in the future when we start seeing the new weapons or, you know, weapon attachments, I'll be able to run something like an ACOG in this and, you know, and kind of go to town on it. And I definitely like the idea of the introduction of new attachments and new weapons, because I feel like you could have individual leaderboards for all of those weapon attachments or weapon loadouts and different weapons. That definitely brings new life to something that, you know, you may have played 1,000 times at that point. Instead of just running it through with like this SCAR variant, okay, now I'm going to run through the level with a pistol or, you know, some sort of a longer range rifle. I really like the idea of that. And maybe, just maybe pushing in the future, we'd see multi-weapon runs. The idea of having like a secondary and a long-range weapon, I really like the idea of that. I just feel there's a lot of places that this game can go, and I'm just excited for it. It just seems like it's gonna get completely blown over by a lot of people, and it probably will, but that's really why I wanted to make the video, just highlight what is, you know, frankly a very simple experience, but one that I found to be immensely rewarding and satisfying, and really kind of a rush. I love just really fast-paced FPS like this, and it's nice to kind of take a step away from PvP and, you know, be able to go into something that's more, you know, single-player focused like this. Really, the only thing that you're up against is your own personal skill. So check the game out. I'll have everything down in the comment section below, links to the website, links to the Steam page. Again, it's around 15 bucks. It's in early access. If you like this kind of game, I'd say it's more than worth purchasing it now. You're going to get that slew of new content as they continue to develop it, and hopefully the team at Pixel will just continue to grow and develop BIOS into something really special that will stand out in the FPS crowd, I guess, for lack of a better way of saying it. If you have any questions for me regarding the game or what you saw in this video, as always, leave them down in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one.